Okay, we are looking at chapter 7 of The Secret History, and we are looking at more prepositions. We did on, in, at, and a few others last time. Today we are going to do out of, by, about, into, up, and down. And so we're going to start with the hardest one today, which is out of, in my opinion. It's one of the hardest anyway. Then we'll do by and we'll do some of the others. I actually think that up and down to some extent are easier, perhaps because you've already come across so many of the phrases with up and down. Now there are some other prepositions, perhaps if we get time we'll do them on this course in another class, but let's start with the compound preposition, out of, and there are 182 out ofs in the whole novel. Yeah, you can do a test very easily nowadays, can't you? You can do Control F and then look to see how many out ofs you get, how many intos you get, and so it's very easy nowadays. And there are a lot because it's a very common compound preposition. And the first thing I want you to know is that out of is the opposite of into, but with all verbs of motion carry something out of somewhere. Yeah, so carry something out of the room, carry something into the room. No sound came out of his mouth, but no food went into his mouth. So come out of and go into are opposites. Yeah, so out of and into are opposites. But be aware that you can come out of the room or you can come out the room. In everyday English we drop the of, and that's why I've put it in these blue brackets. Yeah, we just say he got out the car instead of he got out of the car. He went out the room, he went out of the room. He took it out his pocket, he took it out of his pocket. Okay, and so in everyday English we very often drop the of, and conversely, we often drop the to in the into. We say he went in the room, he went into the room. He put it in his pocket, he put it into his pocket. Okay, and so be aware of that right from the start, and it does make phrasal verbs easier. Okay, and of course we will come across a number of phrasal verbs in today's class. But the very first out of is Mr. Corcoran explaining that out of his boys, and of course he means his children. He had 5 children. He now has 4 children. But out of his children, out of his boys, there's not an honest to God redhead. And he's surprised by this because, and you might think there is not, surely there aren't any redheads, but he means there isn't one redhead. There is not a single redhead. Yeah, so this is correct. And I want you to think of 9 out of 10. 73% is 73 out of 100. Yeah, percent means out of 100. And so be aware of that usage of out of. Yeah, I got 9 out of 10 in the test. And out of Mr. Corcoran's children, there's not a single boy with red hair. There's not a single honest to God redhead. And I found it interesting that he used the honest to God. I think you often hear Bunny's voice in Bunny's dad's conversation, in his sentences. And you might remember that Bunny said, "Oh my God, an honest to God murder, not far, but only a few miles from where you guys were last night," yeah, when he was teasing them, saying, "Oh, how strange that there was a murder on that night when you came back covered in blood."